Hello, welcome back to another video. So in last video, we created active challenges related API, active and upcoming challenges related API, and we connected it with our front end, because of which we are able to show there are one active challenges and one upcoming challenges, right? So now we'll quickly create the UI part of it. I'll keep it very minimal, not very fancy and all. So let's start. Source, uh, what was it? I think container challenge list, yes. And inside that, we have to show a header similar to incentives, right? So what I'll do is I'll just search incentives. This is the class. Let's copy this, go to challenge list, paste, and upcoming challenges, active challenges. Maybe I should keep active challenges on top. Okay. So we have this basic setup. We'll keep on improving this. Just wait a bit, and let's create a component for showing the challenge. So I'll name that as challenge card. Let's create not an element. It will be a component. So basically, how do I decide in which folder I have to keep things? So element is something which is really atomic, like a button or an input or a error text, something like that. Right now we have just created button, but those kind of things I try to keep them in elements. Okay, like for example, I'm using this H3 again and again, so I can create a subheading kind of a text and put it in elements. Component is something which is a mixture of those things, but can be used again and again somewhere else. Okay, something like a product card. I might show it here and I might show it somewhere else also. So, what else in components? This could have been a component. This one item could have been a component. So that we are showing it at 6 different places and it's a combination of different elements. That's why. Now, showing all of these items at once can be part of a container, and that's why I can keep them in the container. I haven't kept that, but maybe I can optimize on that. Let me see components, features. Yeah, features should be part of a container. Yeah, so let's quickly move it. Refresh. We are getting some error because we just moved the file. Console. Okay, no worries. Let's go to app. We are using features there, right? Instead of this, containers. Refresh, and we can see it is working. And uh, should I do it? I'm just checking actually. Where is the feature? Okay, this I can create a separate component for this, but it is really small. And I know that I won't be using it somewhere else for sure. So it does follow the drive principle, which is do not repeat yourself, and that's why I'll keep it here only. I don't need to do anything else. So just minor change that I changed features from component to container because it's containing all the features for me. Similar to that, let's go to challenges and let's create a component card. Let's create a challenge card dot .jsx const challenge card export default challenge card. Okay, and inside that we'll accept a challenge object. We'll define the properties of this challenge object later on. Whenever I'm trying to create some projects, I don't define all the properties at the start because I will have to keep on making changes to them. Once I've reached somewhat like an alpha version or a beta version of the application, at that time I'll start adding properties for these challenges and everything. Okay, so let's start. Return, and let's create a div. Class name. How do I want to show it? Let me think. So I'll show one image. We don't have images right now, but I think I'll add them, or we'll see. So one would be the image part. Second would be the name of the challenge, and there should be date related details. right? So I'll keep it simple. Card followed by this. So flex. Should I mention flex? No, I don't think we need that. Flex column. We'll see. No worries. Okay, and for now, what I'll do is I'll simply write challenge dot title. That's it. So that we can quickly check it. And active challenges is not null, and active challenges dot length is greater than 0. In that case, we'll show this heading, or should I mention a fragment here? We'll show this and we'll map. So for mapping, we'll have to use active challenges dot map challenge challenge card. In that, I have to pass challenge, which will be the challenge. It should. I will also have to add key property, but we'll see that later. No worries. Return. Yes. Why is it showing inactive challenge? Okay, because the text was inactive challenge, I think. I'll have to see this. We'll see this, no worries. Active, upcoming. We'll see this no later on. And similar to this, I'll copy this, paste it again, and here I'll use upcoming challenges, and challenge card is still there. And in upcoming challenges, we have this one, right? Great. So let's do 127 with this slash API slash v1 slash challenges active and upcoming. I am assuming this was the name, but this was not the server. Localhost 3000. Yes, we got the data. So inside active, we have this inactive challenge because of the dates and everything. Why is it? Yeah, the name is confusing. Maybe I should quickly change it to get rid of that confusion. Rails console challenge dot find 3 because the ID is 3 here. Dot update title. What should I name this? Blog website using Rails API and React. Let's refresh. We got this updated. Let's refresh and we got this updated. Great. So we have the updated details. Now let's use them. By the way, I should use grid here. Yes, I should use grid here. So how can I test it correctly? Let's do one thing. This is just for testing purposes and then I'll have to fix the code correctly. Class name, grid, grid, column, three items. I think I'll show and gap of 12. Yeah, we'll show this challenge, but we don't have a challenge. We have active challenges and we have only one item in that. So I'll use 0 and I'll show this thrice and I'll comment this one. So let's see how it looks. All of these are vertical. So why is it vertical? Because let me check. grid calls, multiple. And we can see three items are there. Maybe I should add a margin top of 6. Yeah, 6 should be fine. And margin actually m by 6. I'll just use m by 6 so that margin bottom is also there. Anything else? Gap is there. Let me check the gap here correctly. Okay, gap is the purple shading that we are getting. This here, focus on this point. So I think 8px is fine for me. And for smaller devices, I'll have to change this. So grid columns 2, and for large, grid columns 3. So it still looks same, but on smaller devices, shifts and again shift. Great. So now we have this ready. Let's remove this, cut and paste. Great. We will have to mention key, and we do know that our each and every challenge will have a unique ID, so we can use that as a key. Okay. Let's use that same information here. Same grid here. I know we are not focusing a lot on UI, but right now I'm not focused on that actually. Uh, so that this series doesn't go out of hands. It should be finished within a limited time frame. And we have these details. Now let's make some changes. What should I do? Undraw placeholder image. I'm just trying to find a placeholder image. For that, I'll just search coding. I think I added something in assets earlier, which I have never used. Yeah, I can use this auth graphic. So let's go to challenge, import default thumbnail from // assets / auth graphic, and we'll use this default thumbnail here. I'll use an image. I'll use class name where aspect will be square. I think it is a property in Tailwind. Aspect ratio. Aspect is square, yeah. And W full, it should be a full width. And the value src should be this. Great, we have this. Let me add border black and around it. So we have this border now. It doesn't look that great, but on hover, border thickness changes to 2. Yeah, but the content shifts a bit. So maybe add a outline. Nope. On hover, change shadow MD. Yeah, this one looks fine to me. A bit this. I think in that case I can add border too. Great. What else? Now let's border bottom one. This borderline. I'll just remove this. I'm not convinced, so I'll just remove this. Let's keep it like this. Great. Now let's create another div at the bottom. Class name P6, and inside that let's add this, or maybe add this inside a paragraph tag. Class name text medium text. Text should be base only. I don't want to increase the size of the text. But medium is not working, so maybe bold. Okay, sorry. Medium should work, but font property. Great. Looks good. But I'll have to reduce the padding and all. Great. Anything else? I should mention the start date or end date. So if it is an active challenge, we should mention end date. If it is an upcoming challenge, we should mention start date. Okay, that's how it should work. So let's do one more thing here. Uh, let's use div. I'll explain you quickly why I'm using div here. There are different ways in which you can attain this. I'm using div and I'll use space y4 so as to increase a bit more space in between them. But it is not working. Why? 10. Okay, it is working. It is working. 10 should be fine. Now let's again go to the card. We have the challenge name, we have the title. Let's mention a start date for now. Later on, we will add the number of participants, number of people who have submitted, all those kind of things on these cards. Right now, let's just add title and okay, space y2. Maybe I should create a separate function for this. Date text. Const date text. So basically, based on challenge, we will have to decide. Uh, console.log start date challenge.start date const and date and date, and let's use this and date everywhere. So let's just console log them. What's the issue? And date is not defined. Why is and date not defined? It should be defined, right? Okay, this one. Now let's inspect. We should see it. And date, start date, great. Great. Convert. Let's try this new date. I just want to see whether it will get passed directly or we will have to use uh, some string to match that. Okay, we are following this format. Refresh, and we can see the date did got transferred correctly. Great. So I think now we can use number of days left and all those kind of things. So const current date is equals to new date. From this we'll get the current date also. Let me check some messages. Okay, no worries. So now we have start date, end date, and current date, and based on that we can decide what type of future text date text we want to show. So if our start date, if let's first write down all the cases. If start date it is greater than current date, future challenge. Okay. Else if start date is less than current date and end date is greater than current date, active challenge. And if there is anything else, in that case, because which this case should not happen, and that's why I'm just on precaution side, we can just mention start date and end date here. Return return date to local date. I think I can directly use this to local date string. That would be the best case scenario, I think. So start date dot to local date start date. By the way, we are covering the worst case, and that's why I'm writing the worst text. And date to local string. The other thing could have been I show some error, but I don't want to show it to user. Now let's do. So if it is a active challenge, so I'll write and date only. And if it is an upcoming challenge, start date only. Okay. By the way, we are just showing them these basic details on the home page. But if we'll click on the item and go to the detailed challenge page, in that we'll show all the details in much more better way. Refresh. We have this format. I don't want this format actually. So not the local one. Show date in DDMMM format in JavaScript. In JavaScript. Okay, I'll have to do this many things. I was not run code snippet. Let's see, and it does say this. So let's try this. Date, you just pass in date to local format ENGB, this. Okay, let's use a utility date.js const format date. I can directly write export here because that won't be the default. We will add more functions later on. Return. Let's copy this, paste this here. We'll get the formatted date that we are looking for, and let's use this. Let's get rid of this and let's import this. What's the result? 30 May 2024. So we are getting somewhere. So let's keep on using this, and now we'll just focus on optimizing it in our utility file. We'll just optimize the code in that. Great. Uh, both of these dates are formatted. Now, format date, numeric. No, I don't want the year. That's one. And I want space. So 16th May, 30th May. Great. Now, one thing that I will do is, if it is an end date, I will show this text in red. And if it is an start date, I will show this text in green. So let's use that knowledge here. I think I'll have to do this again. Let's do it outside. So if current date is greater than, okay, let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's simplify this further. Let me undo these changes. Great. And we'll simply use date text and we'll return this entire format itself. Yes, it is working here, and here it is not working correctly. Great, great, great. So basically, we are just returning the entire component. I'm not creating a separate component for this, just because we are using it here only right now. If we will change it in future, we'll directly use it again. Okay. Now we have start date and end date and everything is correct. Now we can directly use it here actually. If it is a start date, we know we have to use color green. So text green 500. We can see this, or maybe 700. 700, 600 is fine. And this one should be text red 600. Text red 600 looks good. This one should be text gray 600 because it should be a sort of an error but we won't be encountering this error. So what I'll do is I'll just comment this for now so that we can see, okay, it looks like this. Uh, Fine. I think it's fine. So you have seen the basic idea about how we are showing this. Obviously, it won't look best because we don't have other cards, we don't have proper thumbnails, and all those things, but at least it works for me and it shows the basic information. So that's it for now. In next video, we'll go to the detailed page of this particular item and we'll take from there. In that also, I'll explain you routing a bit more in detail and create the setup page and everything, and then we'll move on to APIs again. We'll have to add participants and submission related APIs. That's it for now. Thank you. Bye bye.